Kevin, you're on mute, Kevin.
Yep. So, hey, what's going on social media? So, we're on episode 76 of Bottoms Up Perspective. And today we gonna talk about a topic which, within the marketing world, a lot of people have this question, especially if you're in the small to medium-sized enterprise, is how do you do marketing on a dime? And we have a special guest here that a lot of you may know. He's kind of a LinkedIn celebrity. So Jake Shirk, I think I met up with him. It's been around pre-COVID. So it's been, almost 2.5 years ago. And him and I had a cup of coffee. He was the last person I had coffee with prior to the world changing. And at the time, he was talking about how he was looking for something else to do, right? Something that he's passionate about. So he started this media company, and he's the perfect person because he was a solopreneur who had to figure out how to market himself during COVID to make a paycheck. So let me bring him on here. Here's Jake Shirk.
All right, Jake.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, so I got Jake here. So feel free to share with our audience a little about Shirk Media.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for the introduction, and I still remember the coffee. It was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it a Starbucks?
What do you drink?
No, it was not a Starbucks.
You don't take people to Starbucks, Jeremy. Come on.
I was just wondering if you were cheapo.
Starbucks is not cheap.
Yeah, I think so too. That's for a high earner, okay? Starbucks is a dime.
Starbucks is where Mark Zuckerberg takes people, and Elon Musk.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah. So, kind of where it all started. So I was probably last time I talked to you guys, I was still working in recruitment, and over the decade that I worked in that industry, a lot changed. We went from having to go to job fairs and like hand out flyers and things like that to much more working in the digital space because that's where people were. People went from regularly being at those job fairs to being on their phone more often. So just in that industry, I started to move towards doing digital marketing and doing more video stuff and things like that, and got really interested into it. And a long time ago, started just trying to do a podcast and trying to do any type of video stuff that I could just do on my own. And ended up getting fired from my job last year, kind of mid-pandemic, and just decided that having that 9-to-5 isn't as safe as what you might think it is, and that really drove it home for me. And so I figured if it's going to be a risk no matter what, I might as well do something that I want to do and something that I'm passionate about and be able to do it on my own schedule and all that stuff. So I really started diving into video work. Bought my first like actual professional camera, and I started my LLC. And I think I got my first like real job like 2 weeks after that, and it's just kind of been off running since then.
Wow. So
Awesome.
So you were kind of the lucky few that you had something going on before you got fired, right? In your own words.
I had a passion. I didn't have anything monetarily or even an idea of it being a business. But yeah, I had a direction for sure.
Oh, that's already more fortunate than most people, I guess, who were caught in the pandemic and losing their jobs. So yeah, that's a good story. That's a good story.
So Jake, did you pick up a camera prior to starting this Shirk Media?
No, I had only ever just used my phone to do anything.
Okay. So you learned it from scratch, pretty much.
Yeah, just YouTube videos.
Awesome.
That's a good start, right? How to do marketing on a dime. Can pick up all your skills on YouTube, which is literally free. So that's a good start tip.
Yep.
So this is a good start. So I just wanted to, give you an idea, okay, who Jake Shirk is. And we're all practitioners here. So Eldrick, except Jeremy C. He's the corporate guy. Okay? But just to let you know, my situation was very similar, right? So I was working as a marketing director for a company, and I knew my company was designed to sell. And it was one of those things where, one day you just know your job's on the chopping board. It's just a matter of when, because it's designed to sell, right? So I started consulting on the side, marketing, and, a side hustle, as people would put it. And I was one of the lucky few. I had enough clients to almost to where my salary was prior to, the layoff, or the nice way is always like, your severance package and, so, or, hey, we have, some new direction, but same thing. I started in the basement. I was an entrepreneur in the past, so I've done different businesses. It was one of those things, though. It's not like I had a huge savings account. And this time around, when my wife and I decided to do it, we had our first son, and she was pregnant. And it was one of those things. I personally, I'm very Asian still. I like security, and I don't want to speak for all Asians, but I can say majority of them I like calculated risk, not uncalculated. So there was a part of me I was like, man, I can easily get a job, making, 6 figures probably as a director somewhere, and not take my chances, But, I did it, even though I was consulting clients, and I had these clients, and Jake can probably attest to this, and Eldrick, even with clientele, it's not 100% secure, right? Because they can walk away anytime, especially in the field Jake and I in, right? Marketing is kind of like a unicorn in a way to a lot of people, right? It's measurable, but at the same time, it's like how many people actually give it enough time for it to actually work. So to see results. And they don't understand. And Jeremy, you can attest to this because you're a marketing guy at the corporation you work at. People forget these large corporations, they aren't branding from scratch. They're not marketing overnight. They've been doing it for a while. And when I was marketing a company, it was so different than marketing my own business. It was zero to hero. We had zero following on our social media. It's not like, let's start a business. I'm going to post, every day. And all of a sudden, people going to start calling my phone for marketing. The truth is that doesn't happen. It's not real. Okay. The real thing is you start posting every day and you hear crickets because nothing's going on. And you're trying to figure out, how am I going to pay my mortgage bill? And I have a little baby here, and my wife's not working. How am I going to eat? And we have a small savings account, and you're like, okay, let's eat some ramen noodles and see how far we can go. That is the reality if you're not handed a silver spoon. So you get really good at marketing on a dime, which is the topic we go talk about tonight. And I think it's the reality for a lot of small business owners and solopreneurs. You hear Gary Vee and all these marketing gurus tell you, okay, you need to be everywhere. And they have all these formulas you take this LinkedIn live video, and now you can take it, and now you can chop it into, micro pieces. And from micro pieces, you go do a line that goes to Twitter, and then you go take a little line that goes to, this and that, and then you go take your phone and do some Instagram stories. Come on, dude. I'm trying to put food on the table. It still takes time. But these guys make it sound like it's so easy. 50 content from your 1 hour live show.
Nah.
It's not true, okay? And Jake creates media for people, He picked up a camera. That's what he does day in and day out. So let's talk about that a little. How hard is it to create media? And same with Eldrick. So Eldrick writes. I mean, this guy writes a lot of content pieces, all right? On like Substack, he's on Medium, he's publishing on his own personal blogs. The guy writes, and he works as a consultant. So let's talk about this a little bit. How hard is it to produce content where you're talking about 5x, 10x per day?
Jake?
You want me to go?
Yep. Go ahead, Jake. It's a show. It's a show.
It's very hard. It's depending on who you're dealing with and the subject matter you're dealing with, it can be damn near impossible. There's certain things. So, in one breath, I work with a company who everything that they do is content marketing. It's fairly easy to make content for them. They have a camera on like all the time. They've got a YouTube channel with multiple different people submitting every day.
Wow.
They have multiple podcasts. Everything that they do is content marketing for what they sell. So that's fairly easy. But then you get into like working with an industrial partner. They're not used to having cameras on ever. And taking pictures of the site sometimes is hard to do. So that kind of stuff, really, you get into having to discuss strategy. And that's where the conversation that you kind of brought up there, Kevin, comes in, where people, when you start to think about long term and when you start to commit to people over like 30, 60, 90 days, that's when the conversation of ROI comes in. And people don't understand that 30, 60, 90 days in terms of content is going to produce much of anything. It's really just like starting to express your brand, and the conversion probably isn't going to happen for another few months, if not a year, depending on what it is that you're trying to really accomplish. You might get those micro goals, you might sell something, you might get some more people to your page, but really converting, it takes a long time.
Okay, can I just quickly frame this, right? So, because we're talking about marketing on a shoestring budget on a dime, right? So let me just frame this up. So we're talking about people who have probably fallen on harder times. They have to start thinking about how to put food on the table, starting out their own entrepreneur journey, solopreneur, or thinking about starting something, right? Like what Kevin pointed out, right? This is like the best learning place for me because I've always been a corporate person. If I were to want to do something, or I get the X on me tomorrow, what can I do, right? So to frame this, are we talking only about putting things out on social media? Is social media the only way to go if you are doing marketing on a dime for a new company or for a new thing you want to sell? Can we just answer that first? Is that the only option? Social media.
I like to answer this one.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer that social media is not the be all. I think we have this misconception that when we say marketing today, a lot of people think social media, right? But marketing is very broad. It's really understanding the organization and the people behind the organization. Not everyone is going to do well with Gary Vee content. As much as everyone wants to be Gary Vee, you might not be Gary Vee. Gary Vee has a personality. He has a brand, and it works for Gary. But then some people might be an awesome writer like Eldrick, and he prefers writing. And, and other people might prefer the old-fashioned way, in-person relationships, But then how do we frame it? Now, I do believe that, hey, you still should be in social media, but you have to frame it, how much time do you invest in that medium? Right? It's having the presence, but not knowing where to invest your time. Because at the end of the day, when you're on a budget and you're working on a dime, your time is everything. Because your time is the moneymaker. Your time is the value. And I've seen this done where some people are just not good on social media, and they're trying to sell something, right? And they spend all their time doing social media and they suck at it. So that gives them zero ROI. But they're awesome at trade shows. And I'm like, why don't you sell your product at a trade show? Because you're awesome in person connector, but you just suck at social media, right? But then they invest all this time trying to figure it out, right? So I think it's understanding your business and understanding yourself.
You see,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Knowing what you're good at, and then you have to look at your budget, and then you have to leverage other people.
Yeah.
Right? I see so many people go, I want to start videos. Great. And then they try to buy a mirrorless camera, boom, $2,000. They buy SD cards. They spend all their time doing YouTube, and they're a realtor. Dude, go sell your houses. If you sell one house for $250,000, 3-4% is way better ROI than you trying to figure out how to do Jake Shirk's job. You're wasting your money. And I'm just completely being honest with the people out there. Why are you learning this skill set? If you can't write, your grammar sucks, and you're going to be a blogger, dude, I don't care how many YouTube videos you watch. If you're not a writer, you don't just wake up one day and go, all right, I read a lot of Medium articles on how to write, and I am going to write today. Okay? I know this for a fact, okay? I suck at accounting, okay? When I was in college, okay? I had to go to a community college during the summer so I can get a C so I can graduate. No matter how many times I look at my books, and I've been in business for a long time, dude, I can watch all the YouTube videos in the world. I still suck at accounting. It just doesn't, it's not like all of a sudden if you're not talented, you're not talented. I'm sorry to break the news to you. You can watch all the content you want and digest it. Some things just don't happen. So you have to know yourself when it comes to marketing on a dime, because your time is the dime, not money. It's your time. So where are you going to invest? Even if you have a little money, your ROI might be better. Go spend that money. Hire someone like Jake Shirk to shoot your videos, because when you sell one house, that's more than enough to cover the ROI. But too many business owners starting out, they don't think that way.
No, that's great sharing, because that's exactly my point, right? The ROI is measured on your time, not on how much you spend on whatever media.
Yeah.
Because if you're a solopreneur, your resource, your ROI has to be calibrated against your time. Yeah. Which brings me to my next question, right? Probably more for Jake, right? When you started out, how did you measure that ROI? How do you figure out that you're going to do this versus that? Because it's key to have your clients, because those will be the people that will be paying you, right? To help you put food on the table, pay your bills. So how did you, how do you balance that? How do you, figure out to do what to get your clients? I think that's probably key for people who are like starting out.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to say a couple of things here that are going to frustrate people and make people mad.
Go ahead.
But
don't worry about it.
That's what we do.
So I think to just echo everything you guys just said, I 100% believe my time is money, and I value it the same way as if I get a contract signed and somebody pays me a lot. So I don't like to waste my time with people that I have no interest in working with, and that people that don't share the same ideas and creative vision as I do. So probably, again, people will probably hear this and say I'm just not grinding hard enough or whatever it is, but I've said no to a lot of people that have offered to pay me money because they have had the conversation with me and it doesn't sound like they're interested in doing this. It's just their marketing team telling them to do it. And that to me turns into a waste of my time, because if the client isn't interested or isn't invested in at least putting people towards it, like getting people that are going to start doing content or people that are going to be involved in the videos, then it's not going to work for them long term. And in turn, that's not going to work for me long term. So where I've spent a majority of my time is seeking out people in the creative community and finding where they have been able to work and finding the people that they've made connections with and working from there. So, for instance, I've got a photographer friend who is one of the best headshot photographers in Kansas City. I go to her and I do like behind the scenes shoots for people that come in and are shooting with her. And then I, in turn, get clients out of the people that she did headshots for because they're there to market themselves and put themselves out there. And so I know that they're invested in that method of marketing. And I know that that's what the direction they want to go. And so that's the type of people I pursue. So I see people all the time at the same networking groups every week, talking to the same 20 people, pitching the exact same thing. And I'm telling you that is a myth. Like doing those kinds of things doesn't work. It might build friendships. You might have somebody that you can go get coffee with. But if somebody's sitting across from me and they're trying to get somebody to buy their stuff because they can't put food on the table, they're definitely not going to pay me 10 grand to run their media. So why would I be doing that? So that's the thing. Like I talked to a young girl today who's trying to get into the business, and I told her, be very specific about who you reach out to and be very careful about like what kind of networking group that you grow, because it can turn into a complete waste of your time.
That's really good.
Be very patient and
tip.
selfish with the people that you work with. That's the biggest thing. Like, think long term. Don't just take the money grab because it's there.
No, that's so good.
In a way, you have a filter for who you want to work with in terms of your customer, right? I think that's a very smart way, because you are right. You need to be selfish with your time, because time is money. And if you're not going to give your money out freely, you're not going to be giving out your time freely and chase every rabbit hole that comes and get so deep that you can't get out. So I think that's a really good tip.
There are people that I would work with for free before I would work for other people for money. 100%.
But you need to be really selective with these people who work for free, and you really know that you align with them,
yes.
Be it rapport or vision, and you know that you can sort of filter good clients through them, because the clients are going to be paying and have that same alignment as well. They're invested. Yeah. Which brings me to the question, right? You walked away from people because walk away from money, literally business, because you don't feel that they are invested long time, because you feel that these are like kind of forced, be it by, like you said, the marketing team and all that, right?
Yep.
Despite even the money being good, you walk away because you don't think that's a good investment of your time, right?
Yeah.
It's more about. Go ahead.
I think there's and Kevin, maybe you can speak to this. I think there's a long history of developing a marketing plan before you develop a content plan, and they spend a lot of money, especially business. Like I kind of pursue startups and small businesses. It's kind of where I want to try to get into. And so they often have like a third party. They've outsourced their marketing team, but they're spending big money, $30,000 a year on marketing or whatever it might be. And they get into the second quarter and they're starting to realize we don't have the things that are required out of this marketing plan, and they kind of start to panic. And so they find a videographer and they're really trying to, keep the prices as low as possible because they already spent everything over here. And, maybe they have once a month where we can shoot. And if you could stretch, like Gary V, if you could stretch 1 hour, can we talk on a podcast for an hour and make 95 pieces of content for the next 3 months? Like, that's the kind of stuff you start to hear. And it's just like, this is going to be a crazy headache. I'm going to be way underpaid, and there's probably no future in it.
I think when it comes to marketing, I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there because the amount of content that's put out, right? And I think that's with everything, right? Just look at medical things, science, We live in a world where there is so much noise and everyone's fighting to say they're the right way to do things. But the truth is, I've been in marketing for over 20 plus years, and the truth is, there's no one way to do marketing. Yeah. I'm sorry, I go break the news to you. There's no one way. It really depends on your business. It's video the be all. J29, we sell video too. But is it the be all? Right. It isn't. Not for everyone. Because some people are just not good on camera.
Yeah.
Okay? And when it comes to video content, a lot of these businesses have this false idea that, hey, we're going to add these videos and all of a sudden it's going to generate leads. Mm-hmm. Videos don't generate leads, guys.
Especially not one video.
Okay? Think about it. Okay? Really fast, people. Okay. When was the last time you watched a TV commercial and you immediately left the house? Watch a TV commercial one time and you immediately left the house to go make a purchase.
Exactly.
Okay? If you're a business owner right now on the other end watching this, or a corporation, I want to offend you. Are you stupid? Think about your own buying journey. When was the last time you read one piece of article, watch one video, and decide to go spend money? Dude, you don't even go to McDonald's because you watch one video, and you're talking about a $4.99 hamburger. There has to be a need. Usually, if you watch a video and just happens you're hungry and it's midnight, then you might go get that burger. So, the stars have to align for marketing to work. But over time it works because you start building the story of who this brand is and you can relate to it. But you can't relate to something, not even just 20 videos. There has to be some sort of consistency. And people forget that. Yeah, it's not, marketing is not quick.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, you went to school for marketing. You do marketing, retail marketing. How many touches does it take for someone to remember you?
I'm not going to say how many touches, but because from my perspective, it's more B2B. What you say exactly is correct. In the sense that all the stars have to align, and if it's B2B, you're talking about, it could be multi-million deals because you're buying, I don't know, a data center, a server farm, whatever it is. So the involvement is even much greater. And look at it this way: if you are going to sell or you're going to market to a corporation, it's many, many times harder than selling a hamburger, right? Because the person who is holding the money, or the procurement department, needs to trust, or rather must have at least heard about you before, seen case studies of how you've done similar things for other corporations, right? Before presenting this possibility of buying your stuff to the decision maker. And just imagine that if you're going to spend millions of dollars, this guy's job is at stake if he makes the wrong recommendation, right? That's why the famous saying, right? Nobody ever gets fired for recommending an IBM or recommending a McKinsey consultancy, yeah? And let's pull back a minute, right? Let's look at, say, for example, McKinsey, right? What do they sell? They sell consultancy services. And they are giving away reports for free. High value market data for free. Why are they doing that? It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense, yeah? Is it marketing on dime? I don't think so, because they are putting all these resources to churn out these reports and giving it out for free for people to download. Why is that? Because they want to demonstrate that there's this value in them. They want to build that trust, which is probably one touch point, right? So that when the next time you think, I want to do a research, I need data, who should I look for? You remember that you've seen this report from McKinsey before, and therefore you're more inclined. They share a mind in your head versus some other agency you have never heard before. And that's where you get the business. So if I pull it back, right, that one video is not going to get your leads. It's not going to convert. It will take like 10, 20 videos before somebody remembers you, and before they will have that recall instantly the next time they have a need of a certain video nature. They recall, and then they thought about you, because they remember you. They've seen you 20 times before you make impression. And then that's where you get your lead, and you still have to convert that, right? So everything before this conversion really is the marketing. And how you do that is basically today's our topic, right? How do you do it on a dime? Is it 20 videos? Is it 20 articles? I think it's a mix of both, or may not be even on social media, right? You need that 20 articles and that 20 videos plus being in the trade show and all stars align, because somebody have seen 2 of your articles and 3 of your videos and ran into you in that trade show, meet you face to face, recall, hey, I've seen you before, talk to you, and after talking to 10 other people, decided to go with you. And then you get your conversion.
Yeah.
And that is a long process we call marketing, right? So how many touch points? I don't know. It depends on what you're buying. It depends on how convincing you are. It depends on what you put out there. And it depends on the luck of the person remembering on how many times he or she have seen you.
Yep.
But yeah, go ahead.
Well, marketing's a journey, and on top of that is understanding your organization or yourself if you're a solopreneur, and then at the same time understanding your audience. Like almost 50 to 60% of the time when I talk to an SME, a small to medium enterprise, they haven't even identified their audience. They don't really know. We just want people to buy something. We just want people to use our service. Even a realtor, for example. The real estate agents that do better are niche. Yeah. A lot of times, I only sell $1 million homes. Mm-hmm. Or I sell, like within Kansas City, is this area or this zip code. Yeah. But you always hear realtors that are starting out, I just want to sell houses.
No, Kevin, or people who don't know their audience, you ask them who you want to sell to, they say everyone.
Yeah.
They think they know their audience, and it's everyone.
Yeah. You can't. If you think about these major brands, it's not that different when you're a small business owner. You can't be everything to everybody. There's things that you're stronger at, and there's things you're weaker at. And every organization has their weakness and their strength. But then it's identifying, like, what are my lowest hanging fruits, and then connecting with that. Especially when you're talking about marketing on a dime. You want to make sure that you're winning attention and talking to the right people. And I think that's one of the big keys, Stop, don't throw money away before you start identifying your audience. Because when you go to someone like Shirk Media, you ask Jake, hey, make videos for me. One of the first things Jake's going to ask is, who's watching these?
Yeah.
You can't just go, I'm just going to randomly talk and we all made that mistake, right? When you're starting out, a lot of times you're just like, I just want to put food on the table. So whatever, let's just look at social media alone. Go down your feed and look at the randomness.
Yep.
It's just random content. And I want to hear from Aldrich because he's the quietest tonight.
I'm still waiting for the dime part of the marketing on the dime. We have been talking a lot about the marketing piece, which we know, so we're just gonna be pretty directed. I'm gonna ask like Jake. So marketing on a dime. If I were to ask you on the dime question, and really on a shoestring budget, what's that minimal I should spend on building my marketing efforts?
So
with you.
Yeah. So
at a generic level, what's that? What's that amount?
So I'll get to the amount, but the first thing I want to say is that if we're truly on a dime, like me, I'm on a dime, man. I don't have money coming in.
I get
right?
that.
So
I get that.
So I am not gonna spend anything unless I know it works. And the only way to test that is to put a lot of stuff out there and see what organically happens, right? So if you are able to find something and push something and it works organically, now let's push something. Let me give you an example. So a few months back, I just started putting out some of my photography, and I've been doing like TikTok and stuff for a while, but I never really showed pictures. I was just focusing on putting out videos. The pictures were actually starting to get more attention than some of my other videos. So I was like, okay, I've been primarily putting out videos on my Instagram as well. I'm going to try putting out some of my photos. They weren't getting like crazy views and like they weren't like blowing up and going viral like some of the videos I've had, but I was getting DMs and I was getting people that were interested in where I was from and things like that. So I was like, I'm going to put money into this now. So I ran a little marketing scheme for my photography, and I set up sessions to do photography, which I'd never done before. So it was a risk, but I could see that something was happening and that people were connecting with it. So I think what we just talked about in terms of identifying your audience, figuring out what works for you and what people identify is very important, and it's part of this whole figuring out how to do things cheap. Social media is fantastic. Like, I know that we've said it's not the end all be all, but it's pretty freaking great in terms of getting in front of people and building a network for cheap. So once you're able to identify, now let's talk about how much you need to be putting out there a day. If you're staying like locally, like I'm just going to use my business as an example. I'm pretty much doing everything in Kansas City. I'm probably not going to spend more than $50 a day to put something out there because I feel like that's pretty much the reach that I can get with what I do. But I might do $50 a day for a week and run that campaign. And I feel like I can get that money back, right? It sounds like a big investment when maybe you don't have a lot. But if you're confident that you already have the people that are going to sign up to break you even, then we're just playing with the house money. Unless we can figure that out. I mean, we're taking a risk with what we do in the first place, trying to make this on our own. We got to take some financial risk every once in a while, but in my opinion, they do have to be calculated. And I feel like marketing on a dime isn't about necessarily how much you spend. It's about spending it correctly, right? Like I could put I have $20,000 that I could put towards something, but does that make sense for me right now? Probably not, because I don't really know what would be the most effective.
No, that's good.
Wait, hang on. You have not gotten down to the dollars and cents part, which you say you're gonna say it later. So I presume now it's later.
Yeah. So
Is
so
it later?
I'm saying if you're gonna run, let's say you're gonna run a Facebook campaign.
Yep.
I don't think you put less than something between $300 and $500 into that, because I don't think you get a return for less than that, right? If you have a little bit more, I think $1,000 is a really good place to start if you're going to run these types of campaigns. I think that will get you a lot of attention, and I think that will start building a network for you that you can land more clients or whatever it is that you're trying to do. So I would say that is a really great starting point if you can do it. If you can put $1,000 into a week-long campaign or even 2-week-long campaign, depending on how you want to spread it up, I think that's a great start.
So I'm going to jump in here real quick, Eldrick, because Teresa brought a good point here, right? Channels all work together. Social is cheap, but not the end game. Multiple touch points equal conversion. So when we talk about marketing on a dime, right? And when we say our value is our time. Remember, when you don't have money, your time is valuable. Therefore, you can trade that like money. So think about that real fast, okay? Giving. The biggest mistake people do when they're starting out with nothing, if you don't have money to give, you can give your time. People don't want to do that, you know? Think about it. If you're new to shooting videos, I tell these, I have a lot of video guys come through J29, you know, just being in the business, and sometimes I mentor different people. Hey, if you don't have money, go do something for free. And now, it contradicts with what we said earlier, right? But then you got to build that value level. You know, it's like I tell my son, my son's 6 and 8, okay? They come to me and I teach them about entrepreneurship for their homeschooling, right? And I told them, hey, they wanted to learn how to make money. How can I make money?
Wow.
So I told Jaden, what can you do at home to earn money? And then he thought about it. Hey, I can take the dishes out and I can load them. Okay, I go, that's one thing. But he goes, oh, and he keeps thinking and he couldn't come up with anything. I go, you know why? You haven't accumulated enough skill sets. So what's another skill set that you can accumulate to earn money from mom and dad?
There you go.
Maybe wiping the windows in our home. Maybe vacuuming. But you got to acquire those skill sets. So when you're talking about marketing on a dime, and you're starting off as a business, no matter what kind of business, and it just happens we're talking about videography and photography, you might not take the best pictures when you start out. Then maybe you do a free session and have people come to you. And guess what? The value is in you can improve in your videography.
Yeah.
And as you improve, people go refer customers to you. Okay? The same thing when you're marketing. The first thing people always ask you when you're starting out is, do you have a portfolio of someone else you work with? I'm just starting out. How am I going to do that? Yep. Then maybe you have to sell your services cheaper. Maybe you might do it for free to trade them to gain. If you're confident in what you do, you're going to gain their heart, and therefore now you can use them as a portfolio. For me, that's money.
Yeah, that is 100%.
Because I just added that to my portfolio. That's marketing on a dime.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's the long term, right? That's not just the money grab. That's I'll do this because it's gonna make me money later.
Yep. When I started in the basement, when I first started consulting, you eat crap, for months, and guess what? I did a lot of free projects to just prove my skill set. I cold call, I cold call 40 cold calls a day, okay? And there was a lot of no's, even when you do it for free. Yep. Oh, what's the catch? Well, you don't have any experience. Why are you, But then you'll earn one or two. Those one or two, if you're confident in what you do, you prove there's an ROI. You prove to them you know what you're doing. Those one or two knows two more. And those two more know two more. And eventually, 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road, I can say today, even J29, we survived because of referrals, not social media. It's the relationships that we built. And it started out with giving. I didn't expect anything in return when I gave. Because true giving is not expecting. It's not, if you click here and download something, I'm going to give it to you and then I'm going to, bait and switch you into something else. That's not giving. Come on. Giving is giving with no expectations. And I teach my kids that all the time. You just give. Okay? And if you're confident in what you do, that ROI will return. Okay? There's scientific studies on this. The art of giving. There's books written about it. And if you don't believe me, try it. But a lot of business owners don't want to give. You can give free content. Aldrich, you give free content all the time. Every piece of writing you're writing is free content. Right?
No, but then the model is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think let's round up what we just said for the past 15 minutes. Because all of us here, we do touch on various aspects of marketing. And I think what Jake mentioned is actually a very good point, which I'm just going to really expand on it slightly for our audience here. So if you are thinking on doing a marketing campaign with real money, like you're willing to spend, right? The question you should ask the marketer that's sitting in front of you, real or just starting out, the real question is not how much. The real question is how much in order to get $1 back. That is the question. So is it $3,000 on an Instagram campaign for 2 weeks or maybe 1.5, thereabouts? So is it $3,000 on a 1.5 weeks campaign on Instagram to get one sale, which is $100? Let's say if you do product endorsements, is that the metric? Get that understanding. You have to. Otherwise, if you go any lower and you still do the same thing, this is real expenditure. It's not investment. Investment, you must get something back. Real expenditure, you are making the marketer in front of you very happy. And I'm telling you this straight in the face. You're going to make that person very happy because he can tell you straight in the face, no results. Do you still want to do it? Let's go ahead, right? So when you put us in a position where we can't even tell you what the results are, plus minus, okay? It's not science. It's not rocket science. Plus minus. Accountability, responsibility, and everything will just wither away. It's not possible. If you're telling me that, so Jake does videos, and I do speak to videographers. Try speaking to a videographer to say, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to tell people what I know. It would be on content, marketing, and writing, and whatsoever. How much is it? The videographer is going to be lost. I mean, like, you don't need that. You don't need to do that. You can shoot your own videos, or you can do what Kevin used to say, which is like, Zoom, and then if you have a basic subscription, you can do your own recording. But the reason that you're looking for a videographer is you know that your own recording sucks. So you have to have a reason, right? So if you know that your own recording sucks and that you don't have the sound effects, you don't have the time to look for the OST and whatsoever, yes, you'll look for a videographer to help you finish up the last mile packaging. But you still have to do the first 80%. If you don't understand what you need to do in the first 80%, my advice to you on marketing on a dime is very simple. Hold on to your wallet.
Yep.
Do something for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay? So marketing on a dime, don't spend it until you know how much you need to spend to get $1 or one sale. Minimum. And that depends on the work that you do. It could be $5,000 to get one sale. If you are a realtor, I think it's around there. I think. Okay, but your one sale is a high ticket item, right? Assuming you know what you're doing. So, I think for people, for SMEs that are starting out, for solopreneurs, you want to get smart about things, and at the same time, you want to get real. If it takes 3,000 to get one sale, and you don't have that 3,000, then it's always okay to just hold on for a second. In this time period, look out for the kind of things that you can do well and you want to do. So take the time to figure it out. I don't see the rush. Seriously, I don't see the rush. Because the effects of you doing your marketing without knowing what you're going to do, that boomerang effect is going to be quite big. People are just going to come to you and say, I'm confused. I don't know what you do. And I don't know why you're pitching this to me now. And I have no confidence in what you're doing. That's it. 3 bets and you're off.
No, and I really like what Teresa said here on LinkedIn. Yeah. The first part of a marketing plan should be getting rid of misconceptions like this results. ROI issue. Deciding on KPIs shouldn't be such a hard task, but it can be overcomplicated. And now, I have to say this. I've met with probably thousands of businesses, throughout my J29 journey. And I think there is a misconception. I agree with Teresa in a way, right? Because you can't put a value on credibility. You can't put a value on, someone understanding your brand and connecting with it, right? So there is so much misconceptions because most business owners starting out don't even know how to measure their KPI, right? What are the key performance metrics that we're measuring? Yeah, like viewership. What does viewership mean? That's crap. I can have 2,000 viewers and it means 0 sales. Do we measure on likes? And especially when it comes to social media, right? And you have vanity metrics, right? It's really hard to measure, but of course, every business owner tells you, I want to measure on conversions.
Yeah.
So, when you want to measure on conversions, right? It's not just the marketer or the videographer, right? It takes, do you have a good product? Do you have good closers? Do you have good salespeople? Do you have people that can nurture your brand? You can't blame just the marketers. It has to be a holistic approach. It's every part of the company, but then you have to, when it comes to SMEs, they don't understand that. Because a lot of times it's a 5-man show. It might be a 10-guy show. They're so busy wearing multiple hats. They don't have a strong nurturing system. They don't have a strong closer. The closer is the CEO who's also cleaning the toilet. So you have to look at all these things to go, okay, how am I going to get a KPI? What are we measuring here? So without knowing what we're measuring, it's very hard. It's like Eldrick said, like Eldrick just said, hold your money, right? Hold your money. So if you hold your money, then you have to look at what makes you more money. You doing marketing yourself, or are you paying someone else to do it? What are things that you can do, right? Is it me investing in Jake to shoot some videos? Or me trying to waste my time to shoot videos? So you have to balance that out when you're marketing on a dime. You have to.
So one thing, just to touch on that real quick, I think deciding on KPIs is hard. And I think it can be like a really arduous process. And obviously it does depend a little bit on the industry, but especially if you're new to, like, let's say you're a growing business and your clients are building or whatever it might be, it can be really hard to switch your mindset from, well, I got my clients, or I got the people that buy from me because they walked in my door and I shook their hand. I'm a good relationship builder. I'm a good networker, to all of a sudden like diving into a digital marketing plan or anything in the digital. It can be really hard to determine what you're measuring and what the ROI is and why that's important. So I would say that is a really nuanced discussion that does need to be had, and it's not just conversions. There's more to it than just that. But I also want to just mention this real quick because I feel like we maybe haven't done the marketing on a dime thing to the fullest extent. I do want to say that if you have something that you're proud of about your company, about your business, and I can say this because I do this regularly, send it to somebody who would buy from you and ask them if they'll buy it, right? Like I have videos, like I started doing sports videos, and I just started sending it to people that I wanted to work with. And I was just like, hey, would you buy this? Like, hey, look at this. I want to work with you. Is this something that you're interested in? And sometimes that feedback is really hard. And it can be really difficult to like look at that and think, shit, I maybe need to pivot. But if you're talking about really doing it on a dime, if you can get one piece of feedback like that from a potential customer, I think that can tell you so much, and it's obviously free. So whether it's a product that you're selling, a way that you're selling it, a video that you're making, whatever it might be, just send that to people that you think you want to work with or that is your potential audience and see what they say. Because that feedback is probably worth more than any marketing campaign and analytics that you can get back from Google.
And that's a great point, Jake. So let's dive into marketing on a dime a little more, right? Okay, market research. Free.
Yeah.
Your social media channel, your friends, your connections. Send it to them. Ask them for business. Asking doesn't hurt. That's free. Go to those people first. Second, a website. Google gives you a website. Free. Doesn't cost anything. Do a Google business listing. To YouTube, how to list your business on Google. Free. Okay. Number 3, MailChimp. Free. Automate emails. Until you get a huge list, it's free. There's a lot of things you can do for free. There's free CRMs. HubSpot. Put in your prospects in there. Up to, I think, 200 people. Free. Use it. You know, be on every social media platform. There's TikTok, everything. Free. Sign up. Put your business out there. Free. Shoot videos. You have an iPhone. You probably have a smartphone. It shoots videos. It shoots videos most likely in 4K. Free. Try it out. Calendly. To book your meetings. You don't have to go back and forth with people to figure out when I have time to meet with you. Free. So if you're talking about, there's tools out there today. There's a lot more tools today than 10 years ago. Yep. Eldrick can give you some free writing places. If you want a blog, Medium. Free. You can get good at it. So I think there's a lot of things that's under 10 cents a dime that you can start doing. The question is, once again, if you want to market on dime, you're trading your most valuable thing, which is time.
Yeah.
Okay? Your HubSpot CRM will have no names in it, if you don't go talk to people. It's just a CRM. Your Medium platform will have no reach if there's no blogs or articles. It requires you to write. Your YouTube will have no videos. It requires you to go shoot the video. Yep. So all these things requires work. So when we're talking about measuring ROI on a dime, is it worth your time to go do those things? If not, then you find people, a content writer like Eldrick, to hire, and you shop around. Or find someone who's a videographer or take photos like Jake. Or you hire a marketer to help you to execute on social media. It all goes to, is it worth the money or your time?
Yeah, and let's also talk about just some of the pitfalls from that too, because you know, one of the things that I have struggled with, and probably throughout my whole life, but definitely with this trying to start my own business thing, is just like separating my ego from what needs to happen. And sometimes you get caught up in seeing other people perform in your industry, and you start seeing like what they're doing, and it turns into this like race of like, well, they did this, I need to do this, they need to do this, and you start getting caught up in the wrong things. And you need to separate that sometimes. And sometimes it's important to take less than ideal opportunities to get the experience, or to get, you know, a ground floor on a client that you want to work with, or whatever it might be. And sometimes that's hard, because you find yourself, I mean, especially if you're a creative, like if you're out there doing content creation, even writing, you might find yourself in a situation that you never would have imagined that you would have been in when this started, because you had whatever ideas of grandeur or whatnot. But I think it's important to understand that especially if you're first getting started and you don't have the money to infuse into your business, sometimes you got to take some chances, and you got to separate yourself from the ego. And everybody wants their business to be great, but sometimes the business that you do with other people isn't.
That's awesome.
Very true. I want to just add on something which Jake touched on earlier, and kind of weaves into what Aldrich mentioned about holding on to your dollars, and the comments coming in about all channels working. I think one thing that we have to be very clear is also that what Jake mentioned, experimenting. You need to experiment different channels, like your example on shooting videos versus photography, right? You experimented sharing photos, and it gave you some form of a response that you haven't seen on your videos. Hence, you decided to put your money in it. that's the point exactly, right? You need to experiment different channels. It could be writing, it could be video, it could be photography, it could be on Instagram, it could be on different platforms. You need to experiment everything, the type of content, the format, or even the channel. You need to experiment that, see if the response comes back that you could kind of get a good feeling about before you open up a wallet and take that risk. Because if you don't experiment, you never know. Because I'm in a corporate situation, I have a X amount of budget every year. I get to do that experimentation, right? To see what brings in more leads. It's the same thing. I could keep doing once a year big trade show. Easy on me, right? Just that few months to plan one trade show. What the budget gone, and does it bring leads? Oh no, it doesn't. Too bad. Or it does bring leads. Let's go on and continue doing that. But you need to expose yourself. You need to experiment to know what works best. And different year, different things might work. Right? Like in the pandemic year, nobody knew that webinars will work, but it has to work because it's the only method you can do. So if you don't experiment and you don't build your expertise around different channels and different formats, different types of exposure, then it's going to be very hard. Your options are limited. And when your options are limited, it's quite likely that your exposure is limited and your leads coming in, your conversion is going to be limited. So I hope this kind of ties up everything, right? In a way, on experimentation.
And it goes to, too, this is good, because it also goes to, we also forget, sometimes you guys spend money to make money. Which is true. The more I've been an entrepreneur, the longer I've been in it. Yeah. It gets easier when you do have money, right? Yeah. Because it does take money. I don't care what people say. It does take money to make money, right? It's harder when you are on a dime to try to make money, you know? So, like, how do you earn that first, bucket of change so that you can do more? But you will get to a point as a small business. It's funny because I talk to some business owners and they'll say they're a startup. And then I ask them, oh, how long have you been in business? Oh, 20 years. I go, you're what? You're not a startup anymore, dude. Oh, I have no money. I'm a startup. Oh, but you've been in business for 20 years. How does that work? Maybe you shouldn't be in business anymore. So you can't be in a startup forever. Eventually, you need to leverage a team. You need to leverage. There's a reality to this thing, right? Eventually, you need to leverage resources. You need a videographer. You need help because they'll take you to the next level, or you'll be stuck. You'll be stuck as a solopreneur, or, and if that's what you want, that's fine. If you want to be a solopreneur forever, there's nothing wrong with that. I know solopreneurs that make more than me, So, but then you can only do so much by yourself, And so I think we also have to look at the reality of things, right? It takes money to make money. So how am I going to take that money and multiply it? And where should I put it? And it's like you said, when it comes to marketing, that's why you hear the term A and B testing, right? It's like Jeremy said, you have to have some kind of budget to test this stuff out. You can't go, oh, I'm just going to do one and done. And I know there's no marketer that can promise you without A and B testing that, hey, if you do this campaign, this exact one, this video like this with a landing page, you're going to convert 30 leads.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
If they can do that, they won't be talking to you. They would not be talking to an SME.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Okay? It requires, it might be a couple $1,000s to just test before you actually do marketing. Like people have to understand that. There's no one and done, right?
No silver bullet. No,
Yep.
It doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's that misconception sometimes. You start talking to solopreneurs, SME, that will hire someone for marketing. What can you guarantee me?
Right.
I can't.
Yeah. I think also, like, when we're talking about being one and done, it can't just work one time either. I think that's important to note. It can't just be like one thing took off, so that's who we are now. You need to be able to show it over time paying off, right?
And marketing isn't rocket science. It's identifying your target audience, understanding your why, and then be able to speak to that audience, and lead that horse to water. But then you have to understand all these tools change. Example, LinkedIn bots. Did it work at one time? I guarantee you there's a few people on here that can tell you, wow, it worked for me. I converted a lot of leads. But guess what? If you were betting on creating an agency that helped people book calendar leads, just doing that only, you're out of business today because the bots don't work anymore. There was a time you can do Instagram campaigns and you can sell shoes. Okay? It's over. So it's like Jake Shirk says, it changes. Marketing changes every day. Tomorrow we wake up, there's a new algorithm. So like as a marketer, it's challenging because that's what we got to learn, all these things, and we got to chase all these things and understand what's changing. But I think the key is what a good marketer do is they know how to identify the audience and help you connect that audience, with your service or your brand, your product.
Yeah, the basics don't change because Kevin, you said just now you have a good product, you have a good closer, you have good people who can follow up, right? But marketing is actually about doing that good story to allow people understand what your product can do, so that to allow the person to close easier. So you need to build that good story. But how you build that good story on a dime, that's what we're trying to tackle here. And you listed all the great tools that are for free, but you still need to do the hard work, which is building your story. Know your strength, what you're selling, what you can offer, that you can offer better to other people, maybe at a lower price or at a premium because of great value. That's just the story you got to figure out. Without that story, you can't market anything.
I think the easiest way to figure that out, and again, I'll just use myself as an example. The easiest way is just to say what you're doing. Just be yourself. Just talk about the things that you do every day. People want to talk about, like, I know the Gary Vee thing is what it is. He's got a 15-man team to create content. I understand that we can't do it at that level. However, you can hold up your phone every day. You can clock into work at 9 a.m. and hold up your phone and say, hey, another day at so-and-so agency, this is what we have on the board today, blah, 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 and you can put that out there. And it's not a game changer right away. But like I said, I lost my job in July, did a lot of things in between, not related to what I'm doing now. I bought a camera in October, and I made my first $15,000 by the end of November without spending anything. And it was purely because I had been putting in the work pre all of that on my LinkedIn and on my other social channels and things like that, where when I said, hey, this is what I have going now, I had a captive audience. And they didn't care at the time, right? The first thing that they think about isn't, I wonder if he's good. That's not the first thing that anybody thought about when they saw that I was making videos. What they thought about is, I wonder if we could work with him, which is all I needed. All I need is that phone call and that curiosity to see if I could potentially fill a gap, right? And so if you're out there and you're trying to think about, like, how do I get in front of people? How do I get in front of people? You have the opportunity to do it every day. And the days that you don't do it, you're just losing those opportunities. So it doesn't have to be extravagant. Don't look at the people that are making, there are some people on TikTok in particular that are spending $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a video. One video. You see those crazy videos, those are super expensive.
Yep.
And it sets a really high bar for the viewer and people that want to try to mimic that, because you simply can't. You don't have the resources to do, I forget the guy's name, but Charlie Hustle. That guy's giving away like $100,000 a week to create content. You can't do that. Mr. Beast gives away $20 million a quarter. You can't do that, right? You're not going to be that. But you can pull out your phone every single day that you go into work, or every single day that you get out of work, or if you have a quirky teammate that you work with and he's good on camera, you can do that every single day. And you could build relationships like that. So when you talk about doing it on a dime, again, we're going to bring up the topic of time. It takes time. And two, it's just consistency. And as long as you're not making things up, if you're trying to create something every day, it's going to be so hard. But if you're able to just organically put together 20 seconds, it's not hard.
It's a byproduct, yeah.
And guess what? When you're starting out, one thing you do have is time. Because if you don't have clients, you have time. You know, I always make a joke, right? I'll tell my wife, I go, man, this kid's putting a lot of content out, or this person's putting out a lot of content, and he's doing it by himself. And if they're acting like they're balling out of control, they're doing so well, I'm like, he's probably not doing very well because he has way too much time to post on social media.
That video took you 2 hours to make, bro.
It's like, don't lie to me. If you're servicing clients, you are not going live every 2 hours and editing your own video.
That's
It's
so
like,
true.
you can't fool me. So the person that's real busy and they're trying to do everything on their own, they're probably posting when they have time.
I feel like I just got called out. That's like when I'm really quiet online, I'm like actually making money and doing things. But when I'm like putting out all the content, I'm like, I'm broke this week.
Dude, in all honesty, you guys saw me a lot more in 2020. And people go, oh, you know, engage with your people, comment. I'm not engaging with you. It's because I'm busy.
Kevin, I'm in trouble because I like posted like 4 times yesterday. I've never done so many in a day. Yeah, I'm in trouble now.
And in 2020, I had time because guess what? COVID. Dude, it cut my business in half. You know, I was like laying off employees. You know, I had time. I was sitting at home, like trying to figure out like, okay, everyone's on pause. When's your marketing budget coming back? Guess what? Well, if I have nothing else to do, why not amplify myself, do some self-marketing, and get on these social media platforms and be a little more active?
Yep.
It was a good use of my time.
Yeah, like Jake said, when you are doing the amplification, you are actually making sure that people know what you do, so that when the marketing budget comes in, the question they have in their mind is, I want to work with you, because they already know whether you're good or not. So that's the key point. That's the key point.
Yep. And this is great because so I invited Jake to be on our show, BUP, Bottoms Up, right? So we're all about the everyday man on a journey, right? None of us are these big multimillionaires or influencers. Maybe Aldrich, he just hides it very well. So, but I follow Jake's content after we had that cup of coffee. The pandemic hit, you know, everyone stay at home because we were afraid of the virus for a while. And I just watch his journey. And I can say he defines everything about marketing on a dime. Because I watch him. I watch you. I follow your content. It's good content, but it's just, he's not selling you on videos. He's just being very authentic, very real. And he started building a following on LinkedIn, and he was in the right place. You know, he was trying to connect with professionals, probably, most likely. And that's where we were all at. We were all at home digesting content. And I saw Jake was willing to give. I saw you were, you talked about, hey, any marketers, anyone in Kansas City, I'll do videos for free.
Yeah.
You know? Dude, when you're marketing on the dime, it's being authentic, being willing to understand that, hey, my skill set might not be there yet, but doesn't mean I'm going to be there forever. It'll get better, but I need something to practice on.
Yeah.
So how do you get people to practice on? It's free, you know, or at low cost. And eventually you'll build those things to put in your portfolio. And it's not just marketing people or creative people. This applies to any kind of business. Think about it.
Yep.
If you're starting a retail brand, no one knows about your t-shirts. Go give it away. Who doesn't want a free t-shirt?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But if I ask, most people don't want to give anything away. They want to start out by ticking. You know, oh, there's no ROI in giving.
No,
It's
there is.
not-
You there is. You give away the T-shirt. If the person likes it, ask that person to take a picture and share on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. That's marketing on a dime. It's
Exactly.
amplified. Amplified. Right
Yep.
there. Right there. Jake does it for free. He does a shoot. The person likes it. Hey, can you give me a referral or put it on Instagram, share that I did this? It's amplified. Is it
Yep.
free? You actually get something in return. That's marketing on a dime.
Yep.
Actually, I think that would be a rather difficult thing to do because in terms of human nature, it's always very easy to say, and I like to respect the person that's in front of me, but it's always very easy for me to say or to stand on the moral high ground and just tell the person that you have to do so many things for free for so long. Let's face it, we hate it. If we are on the receiving end, we're going to hate it. So I think the better way in which we can actually grow our own skill sets to market ourselves on a dime is to build on the skill sets that we have. Because the more proficient we get in one skill set, the higher the ask we can get in time to come. So you're building equity based on your skill. One way to think about it is your writing. I use writing as an example because it's very easy. If you think about writing for marketing, you can write for awareness, you can write for conversion. Two very simple ways, but of course it's more sophisticated than that. If you want to write for conversion, take that copy that you have written, go find people that you know and ask them how they find this piece of writing.
Yeah.
If they tell you it's good, it's brilliant, I love the writing, guys, it's bullshit. You know it's time to tear it apart and say, what the fuck? Okay, I need to go back and rewrite it again. Okay? If you show your writing and the person says, oh my gosh, where the hell am I going to buy this? There is your conversion piece. You might not know that you have written a conversion piece, but when people tell you that they want to buy it, you know that you have something. Go back, deconstruct it. Go deconstruct your writing. This is where it works because the hook is here, the call to action is here, the product I put it here, I shouldn't put the pricing, right? So work on your skills. Work on one thing, work on your skills to become very good. And then when you do have a budget, you stack. Don't do so many things at once. You go crazy. So let's say you can do writing very well. And then now you say, okay, I want to amplify my reach, which is what Jeremy said. So how do you amplify your reach? You start thinking, okay, can I do a video on what I have written? Not doing videos from ground zero, but doing videos on things that I've already done, right? So let's say this is the time you get on a call with Jake and say, hey, Jake, I have 3 pieces of articles here. Can you read them? Can you tell me off your head how would you conceptualize the videos based on this 3? Tell me the persona that I am giving out. Tell me the message. How is it going to be? So you stack. You don't say, I'm going to do this, 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 I'm going to do this. You go crazy. So do one, get very good, and then from there, use it as a basis to do other content formats, right? So then you know. How do you know that the person you're talking to can deliver quality? Wrong question. You control the quality based on what you have done, What the other person is doing for you is a conversion of formats. That's it. So you know that that video works for you because you wrote the script earlier. Then you can get the results to what you want, and there's consistency now. So you take what you have written, you find someone to do the videos which is coherent, and then you find ways to do your snippets to run your social media campaigns, and that's coherent, right? Once you have that idea, you know exactly what to do. You know exactly how much to spend, and you don't have to spend it all at once. So be smart about it. And I think the most important thing is to work on yourself. If you cannot convince yourself to do things for free, I'll change the message. Work on yourself. Period. I'm sorry. If you can't even work on yourself, forget about this whole damn thing, right? Just forget about this whole damn thing. And you know, what Jake mentioned is a viable route. Talk about yourself. Period. That's how I think about it. Marketing on a dime.
Yeah, if you're not willing to if you're not willing to understand that there's multiple versions of return, it's not just money. And if you're not willing to do the things that are required for you to get better, there's no chance that you're going to make money. You might get some small things here and there, but you have to be willing to put yourself out there in a way that's uncomfortable, and sometimes that means giving things away or doing things for free in a way to make yourself better. Because you're exactly right. If you don't work on your skills, and if you don't work on making yourself better at what you want to do, then it's all for nothing. You can spend as much money as you want. It doesn't matter. It's not going to work. So I feel like anybody that gets into this and wants to start putting things out there and start marketing, you have to understand that you're going to give things away. And it's going to benefit you later if you do it correctly. But you have to be willing to do that and take it on the head at first.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, with any kind of business, it's all about solving a problem that someone else has, right? You got to solve a problem someone else has. That you create enough value where they want to pay for it. But they don't know you can solve that problem if you don't tell anyone.
And you know what? If you're really good and if you're really humble about it, they'll feel bad enough to pay you after a while.
Yep, so that's true.
You can always get that too.
It depends where you are, though. Maybe in the US.
No, it's true. And a lot of times I think the biggest mistake people make when they're marketing on a dime or a new business owner is you got to ask.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't ask for the business, you can't just go, oh, well, I don't want to be salesy. There has to be a time when you ask for the sale. You know, if you don't ask, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur. You know?
And also not just ask for the business, but I think I'll speak for the US in general, but I think we have a really backwards view on networking, where our networking is like, I'm going to ask for the business. I'm going to ask for the business. I'm going to network with somebody so I can get this from them, and then someday I can get that from them. Ask for people to help you as well. Like, find the people that can fill gaps that you keep running into, right? If I keep running into businesses where they want me to shoot the video, they want me to, put together all of this, but they also want me to manage and work on their SEO and do all this stuff because they don't want to pay multiple people, I can take all of that money and then pay somebody else to do that other part, but I need that other person. And that's really important, right? You need people that you can collaborate with and that you trust and that you're not just selling to. So if you're out there and you're networking and you're thinking about how to get your business out there, also think about how the people around you can help you get better and fill the gaps that you have as well. So be very open-minded in your ask. It's not just about money. It's also about the people that can help you in other ways.
No, and that's so valuable, and that's a big part of marketing on a dime is leveraging your relationships. You can't be good at everything, and you have to understand, like, hey, you have to build a book of, just like you build a book of business, you have to build a book of partners you trust. Who can you go to? You know, and it's for every type of business, not just marketing people.
No.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I think we had a pretty good night, and we had quite a bit of viewers who hop on tonight, and we're gonna start really diving into the whole topic of marketing in general within the SME space, because I feel there's a lack of there's a lot of marketing material out there that if you have a huge budget that you can utilize, but no one talks about the reality and the challenges of marketing when you just don't have the budget, and it's real. I think everyone, even marketing agencies, right? Majority of them, we all want the big companies. Everyone wants the Nike. Everyone wants the Starbucks, right? But who's helping the guy that's starting a lawn mowing business? I mean, they need marketing too. So
I'll help that guy.
Yep, Jake will help that guy. So most of the viewers know Jake. So how can they support you? What are ways that they can follow you, connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much on every platform. I'm pretty active. You're gonna see multiple things from me every day. So LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It's all Shirk Media. Shirk_media on Instagram and TikTok. The best way, honestly, that you can support me is going in there and just liking those videos and commenting on those videos. I know it seems played out, but that's true. It does help me, especially when I'm making videos about the business. I can take those to clients and I can say, hey, this is the kind of stuff that we can kick out. This is the kind of stuff that we can make for you. And also, just like anybody out there who is looking to get their social media started, looking to kind of start the platform and get their content kicked off, I've got a ton of opportunities where I can help you out. And like I said, everything I've said today, I said it because I'm practicing it. I might not be able to run your social media campaign, but I've got great people around me that can. I've got some people right now that are offering free Facebook ad campaigns that they will run for you just as a way to get you in the door with them. So if you are looking to get started, even if it's not me that can necessarily do it for you, I would love to be a conduit to hook you up with some other really great people here in Kansas City who do fantastic work.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. So if anyone ever has questions, right, we're all a resource, and we're gonna give it to you straight. I think all of us here, all four of us, we tell it like it is. So feel free, private message us, DM us.
Don't
we're on
DM me on LinkedIn. I won't answer it. The inbox is dead to me. Send me an email if you're on LinkedIn and you want to contact me, or go over to Instagram and DM me there.
Yep. Well, we appreciate all of you tonight, and next week, we're gonna talk about SME again, real talk, and we go talk about part 2. How do you target correctly, right? How do you target those audience, right? And I got Nico DeBrum, who's be joining us as a guest, and we look forward to having you. So thanks for your time.
Thank you,
See
Jake.
you all. Thanks, Jake.